What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the NASCAR New Hampshire Series race on Sunday. This is the only NASCAR race this weekend. We don't have any truck races, any Xfinity Series races. This is all we got. Honestly, I'm kind of relieved that that's the only race this week because I've been doing a ton of NBA recently. It just got started back up, and I've just been focusing a lot on NBA, so nice to not have to do like 3 or 4 NASCAR races this weekend. So this is the only one we got. This is a race at New Hampshire that's, honestly, there's not really a lot of tracks very similar to it. There's tracks grouped into the same type as New Hampshire, but in all honesty, this is its own thing, so I'd like to look more at just past history here and maybe a little bit like Phoenix or something. But for the most part, this is a track that's very, there's just not a lot of things similar to that. But before we get into everything else, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn on notification bell. All those things really help me grow the channel. And we've been having some good growth, especially through NASCAR. And now that NBA started, hopefully we're going to continue to grow even more. If you want to get some more of my content, first off, I'm doing NBA YouTube videos every day now, so go check that out on the channel. But more than that, if you want to subscribe to my Patreon for NASCAR, it's only $10 a month. You're going to get this entire cheat sheet with all the stats and data along with projections that are down at the end, and then you're also going to get a weekly article, salary tier rankings, cash core 4, and GPP exposures every single week. So be sure to check all that out. Only $10 a month. I think it's really only like the amount of races. Oh, and that's for all 3 NASCAR series as well. It's not just the Cup Series, it's for the Xfinity Series and the Truck Series. So yeah, be sure to check all of that out. If you also want NBA content, I have that on Patreon now as well. You're going to get basically the same thing, cheat sheet projections, an article every single day, all that kind of stuff, salary tier rankings, cash core 4, all that stuff on there as well. And I have that for not just DraftKings FanDuel, but DraftKings FanDuel, Super Draft, Fantasy Draft, and Yahoo Daily Fantasy Sports. Only $10 a month, so per day it's really cheap. So make sure to check all that out. I'm going to link my Patreon in the description below. If you want to follow me on social media, my Twitter is at DFSNateLane, and my Instagram is at @NateLane_. Very active over there, just talking about sports in general. I've been talking a lot of basketball recently because that's what's been going on, but I talk NASCAR too. I talk DFS, I talk football, I talk fantasy football, baseball. I talk everything over there, so make sure to go hit me up with a follow over there. All that stuff helps me grow as well. But yeah, I think that's about it, so let's get into this video. Up first, most expensive driver on DraftKings is Kevin Harvick at $11,600, and Kevin Harvick has won both races the last 2 years in New Hampshire, so in the last 2 years, he has an average finish of 1. So yeah, Kevin Harvick has been really, really good here. The one thing I will say about Kevin Harvick is he hasn't been like a major lap leader or anything. He has only led 53 laps here in the last 2 years. That's only like the 5th most in the field. So I think that does come as a little surprising considering he has won both races, but I still think he's a top dominator play because this year he's just been lights out. In the last 5 races, an average finish of 3.2 and 139 laps led. So yeah, Kevin Harvick, very good option in my opinion. I expect him to be popular. Start 7th, got some place differential upside, so I don't think he'll lead the very early portion, but I think he's got a fast car and should be able to lead a bunch of laps. Up next, we have Ryan Blaney at $11,100, starting 12th. Blaney, finally, DraftKings decided to price him up. Earlier in the year, he was like, the 10th highest expensive guy. Now he's up to the 2nd most expensive guy, so Chalk Blaney's gone for the rest of the year, but more than likely. He starts 12th, has some place differential upside, an average finish of 5.5, which ranks 5th at New Hampshire over the last 2 years, and the 5th best average finish. So Blaney's been good here. He has 0 laps led here over the last few years, but to be honest, most of the tracks doesn't have a lot of laps led at. This year he's just been leading way more laps, especially recently. In the last 5 races, he does have 204 laps led, which is the most in the field, but he has only somehow managed an average finish of 13.75. So he just hasn't been finishing as great. It was either Kentucky or Texas. I think it was Texas. Dominated that race, should have won. And the pit strategy, or there's the caution for Quinn Houff that everyone was pissed off about. But Blaney's a good option. I think he can get up front and lead laps. I don't think he's as likely to get up front and lead laps like Kevin Harvick is, but I think Blaney's a good option. You're probably going to want 2 dominators in every lineup that you make. So I think Blaney is someone that could be a dominator who will probably go a little lower owned. Up next is Martin Truex Jr. for $10,700, starting 11th. Truex has been very consistent here, 2nd best average finish here, and the 4th best average position here. When it comes to lap sled, he is 83, which is not elite, but it's good. I think he definitely has lap led upside. We're starting to see recently he's been doing better. Hadn't been leading a ton of laps this year, but the last few races we've seen Truex pick it up with 121 laps led in the last 5 races, an average finish of 5 in the last 5 races as well. So Truex has been running pretty well. I expect him to run well again. I just don't know if he's like a top dominator option here. I think he is. He's one of the probably like top 5 most likely to lead laps in my opinion. But I think I'd rather play Harvick. I think there's 2 guys that I'm about to get into that I'd rather play for laps led. But yeah, I think Truex is still a good play. Wouldn't surprise me to see him be the main dominator in this race, and he has place differential upside. So I think that is a good thing. And to be honest, if we go down here and look at the track trends, and these are just based on the last 2 years, the most laps led start has been 1.5 on average, but the second and third have been 12.5 and 13.5. So it doesn't necessarily have to be only guys up front. And Truex and Blaney are in that spot at the 12-11. I'm not saying that's 100% going to ring true. I mean, if we know anything this year, those stats can just kind of go out the window because the random draw screws up everything. We don't know which cars are fast coming in, but I do think Truex and Blaney have lap light upside and have place differential upside as well, which makes me like them. Next, we have Denny Hamlin starting second at 10,400. And Denny Hamlin is one of the guys I think could lead a ton of laps, and I think he could get out front early. I mean, Denny Hamlin is just having a year of his career, best year of his career. He's been absolutely on fire, winning races every single week. He has the 8th best average finish at New Hampshire, the 7th best average position at New Hampshire, and I know he finished second last year. He got passed by Harvick at the end of the race. So if we're looking at laps led at New Hampshire, Denny Hamlin does have 113 here, which is the second most on the field, and the first most is Kyle Busch, who hasn't like crap this year. So Hamlin is just he starts in a prime position to get up front and lead laps early. It's going to be hard for me to make lineups because you have him and Amarillo who's starting the front row, and I like both of them to lead laps, but I don't know if I want to make a lineup with them together. I don't know which one's going to get the early jump, but they're both very good options to get the early jump. I would split them up and play a bunch of both. In the last 5 races, Hamlin has an average finish of 8.5 and 136 laps led, so he's been running very well, leading laps. Nothing more to expect. I mean, he's coming off a win last week at oh my God, where did they race? Kansas. He won at Kansas last week, so yeah, I think Hamlin's a good option here. Starts second, should be able to at least contend for an early lead. But even if he doesn't get the early lead, I think he'll lead laps in this race. Next, we have Christopher Bell back in the back of the pack again, starting 35th again. 10,100 this time. At least he's not 11K, which makes him at least somewhat interesting. Never raced here in the Cup Series, but he has in the Xfinity Series, and he's run very, very well. I believe he has at least 1 win. He might have 2 wins in the Xfinity Series, so this is a track that he's excelled at. And I mean, usually, you say you don't want to go to past series to do it, to look at tracks the drivers are going to do at, but that's worked really well for me with Tyler Reddick this year, and it's worked really well for me with Cole Custer this year. So now it's Christopher Bell at a track he's been really good at, and he starts 35th. I know he's 10,100, and I never say I want to play Christopher Bell starting in the back, but he's not ridiculously expensive this week. He does have an average finish of 15.75 in the last 5 races and an average position of 18.5. But if Christopher Bell can get a top 10, he's going to pay off that salary. It's not where he needed a top 5 anymore. He needs a top 10 at that price. So I think Christopher Bell's fine. I'll probably throw him in a lineup or 2. I mean, I'd still rather play Dominators for that price, but I think Christopher Bell is a good option. He probably will end up getting some decent ownership, though, but I still do think Christopher Bell's solid. Next, we have Joey Logano starting 9th at 9,800, and he's not really someone I'm too interested in. The 9th best average finish at New Hampshire and the 9th best average position at New Hampshire. He only has 1 lap led here over the last 2 years, and in the last 5 races, he only has 63 laps led, which, I mean, is still decent, but compared to everyone else, not that much, and only an average finish of 9.33. Logano hasn't looked like himself recently, and I just don't think this is really where I want to go back to him with. Brad Keselowski, 9,500, starting 4th, same thing. Not too interested in Brad. He has the 11th best average finish at New Hampshire over the last 2 years, and the 8th best average finish at New Hampshire, or average position at New Hampshire over the last 2 years. When it comes to laps led, only 12 at New Hampshire, and then in the last 5 races, we have an average finish of 7th and an average laps led 92. So, I mean, just good numbers for Brad, but he starts 4th. Just expecting maybe hang around there, probably drop a few spots. I don't expect much from him. I want to lead laps at that price. So not too interested in Brad Keselowski. Next we have not Chase Elliott. He's the next one. We have Kyle Busch, 9,300, starting 5th. He has the 2nd best average finish at New Hampshire, the best average position in New Hampshire. He has the most laps led at New Hampshire with 154. But I mean, if you've been watching my videos all year, I mean, you know Kyle Busch has the most laps led. Him or Harvick have the most laps led or the best average finish at just about every track. So it doesn't matter. We haven't seen Kyle Busch lead laps this year. He has not been fast. No practice has killed him. He only has an average finish at 10.5 in the last 5 races and 74 laps led. So Kyle Busch, not really someone I plan on going to all that much. Up next, we have Chase Elliott, 9,100, starting 3rd. He has the 2nd best average finish at New Hampshire. Only the 14th best average position in New Hampshire, but he has been finishing well. when it comes to lap sled, he only has 23 here, so that's not really too encouraging. This is just not a track that suits him. And Chase Elliott, I mean, Hendrick as a whole just recently has been, I mean, they started the year out so good, so fast, but recently they've been sucking, man, and they just have not looked good. Chase Elliott, an average finish at 12.4, 26 lap sled, not a track or track type he really excels at, so not someone I'm looking to go to today. Up next, we have Erik Jones, starting 17th at 8,900. I think Erik Jones is going to continue to be someone I target here. I mean, he has been all year, but I think now the thing of Erik Jones is he needs good finishes to make the playoffs, so he's just going to probably not overdrive his car, probably not even try to, I mean, he's always trying to win races, but it's not like dire win races. If he just finishes consistently like top 5, 10 the rest of the year, he's going to get into the playoffs. So I think that's what he's going to continue to do. He has the 10th best average finish here and 11th best average position here, and Jones has actually been running well recently. He's not someone who's going to probably lead you a ton of laps, but an average finish of 9 in the last 5 races is pretty solid. So yeah, if Jones can get you a top 10, he's going to pay off that salary pretty good, and he has top 5 upside, and he has winning upside. So, I mean, that's the thing with Erik Jones. He always gives you that upside, and he's not priced in the 6 or 7K range anymore, so he's not going to be ridiculously chalky anymore. So I think Erik Jones is fine. I do like him as a play here. Up next, we have Jimmie Johnson, 8,700, and I mean, Jimmie Johnson, man, he's been trash. I mean, he hasn't been trash, just been wrecking every single race, seems like, just having a bunch of bad luck. Starts 20th, though, offers some place differential upside. I mean, if we've been looking at Jimmie Johnson all year, usually his average finishes don't look good because he just hasn't been that good in the past few years, but he does have the 11th best average finish at New Hampshire, 15th best average position. He's not going to lead any laps, but what's been really holding Jimmie Johnson down is, look at that, an average finish of 17 in the last 5. That's horrible. He just has not been good. I mean, I think he's an interesting one to target if you're playing a bunch of lines, but if you're only playing like 1 to 3, I'd stay away from Jimmie Johnson. He's just been, I mean, he's been fast. It just seems like he's been getting caught up in bad luck. And, I mean, that's the same thing Erik Jones a few weeks ago, and maybe we'll turn around for Johnson now. I mean, I'm probably going to throw Jimmie Johnson in a lineup because I think he has the upside. He's looked, out of all the Hendrick cars, he's looked the fastest. He just seems to, like, always get caught up in trouble. So, it's unfortunate, but that's what's been going on for Jimmie Johnson. Up next, we have Erik Amarillo starting on the pole. So Erik Amarillo might be my favorite play in the entire slate. If you look at the last 2 years, the average finish of the average starting position of the most lap leader has been on the pole, and Erik Amarillo has been fast this year. I mean, this is the best year of his career. He hasn't won a race yet, but I think if there is a race Erik Amarillo is going to win, I think this is the one. He's even been good here in the past when he hasn't been as good of a driver. 7th best average finish at New Hampshire. He has the 6th best average position at New Hampshire, but and he has 54 laps led at New Hampshire. Like, he's actually been decent at this track already, so this is a good track for him. And I mean, he's just been absolutely on fire this year. Last 5 races, an average finish of 6.4. That is the 3rd best average finish in the field, only behind Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr. So you're telling me he's been the 3rd best driver in the last 5 races? Yeah, Erik Amarillo has been insanely good. 167 laps led is the 2nd most in the field. Over the last 5 races. We didn't see him lead any at Kansas, but I mean, gosh, Erik Amarillo has been fast. I just don't see any reason why that's going to stop at all. Honestly, I think Erik Amarillo has a better chance to get out to the early lead than Denny Hamlin, in my opinion. He's going to have the preferred lane. I think he may have been faster, or at least been very similar to it. And if you look at, I'm telling you, if you look at this year, most of Hamlin's success has been at the night races. It's crazy, but he's got to win at Daytona at night. Well, that's Daytona, but Kansas at night, Darlington at night. There was one other night race he won, and he's just been. This is a day race. He'll run good. It's not Pocono where he's absolutely elite at, or Indy where he's like elite at. It's New Hampshire where he's good. So I think Amarillo is going to be able to get out to that early lead. I think he could lead 80, 90 laps in this race. And I think he can win. If he wins, it's going to be pretty awesome if he does. I think everyone's kind of rooting for him to win. It feels about time for him to win. I expect him to be pretty popular because people know that he's been running well, and he's only 8,500. Like, you can throw in, this is a race where there can be 3 dominators, and Erik Amarillo makes it possible to put 3 dominators in your lineup. Up next, we have Matt DiBenedetto, 8,300, and usually he starts 19th. Usually for Matty D, if you've been watching, I don't usually look at his past stats, but I am for this race. I mean, he has an average finish of 16.5, and that was in the 95 car, which is just not good, or hasn't been good. It's better now, but it's getting better every year, but like, in way worse equipment than he is now. He's been average finish of 16.5, where that car's usually like in the 20s, so I think Matty D is actually pretty good at this racetrack. if you look at Matty D in the last 5 races, he has an average finish of 11.25 and an average position of 10.8, and he starts 19th. So I think he could get a top 10 for sure, and that's going to pay off that salary pretty good. Like, I'd rather play DiBenedetto than Jimmie Johnson, to be honest. We've seen Matty D end up running around top 5 during races, but he's had some bad luck. He needs some good finishes to keep himself in the playoffs right now, so he's another one who probably just needs to have a clean race, good top 10 run, and he should be fine. Next, we have Alex Bowman. I have no interest in Alex Bowman at all, starting 8th. I haven't had any interest in Alex Bowman for a while now. He's just been bad recently, and this has been a great track for him. 13th best average finish in the field. In the last 5 races, Alex Bowman has an average finish of 12. So I'm not going to play Alex Bowman this week. If he goes off, oh well. William Byron starts 16th for 7,900 on DraftKings. William Byron has the 14th best average finish at New Hampshire. And in the last 5 races, Byron has been running pretty well, an average finish of 9.33 and an average position of 15.75, and even 46 laps led for Byron. He had a very good run at Kansas last week. He had a chance to win, didn't do it, but he had a chance to win. I think William Byron should be able to compete for a top 10 again, and if he does, he'll be able to pay off that salary pretty good. So Byron's fine. Nothing like, I don't think he has a ton of upside, but I think he's a decent, solid play for his price. Next, we have Kurt Busch at 7,700 starting 10th. I'm not really interested in him either. 14th best average finish at New Hampshire. He does have the 3rd best average position, and he's got 94 laps led, but that was mostly 2 years ago. Last year, he's just sort of been in a decline for a few years now, Kurt Busch has. He's still a good driver, just hasn't been as great as he's been in the past. In the last 5 races, only an average finish of 9.6 and an average position of 11. I mean, I can see Kurt Busch getting like a top 5, which I guess might pay off that salary, but for the most part, it's just not something I'm really looking to go to. Matt Kenseth, I'm going to continue to fade starting 21st. Just hasn't been good outside of that like 2 race spurt where he was running really well. Last 5 races, Matt Kenseth average finish of 14.8, average position of 16.8. And I can just play Tyler Reddick, 7,500 starting. I know he starts 13th, but I mean Tyler Reddick's just been so good this year. He's been impressive in that number 8 car for RCR. Seems like he's turned RCR around. Well, at least looking like they have more and more potential down the road. 7,500 starting 13th. I think he can get you a top 10. He'll be able to compete for a top 5. Last 5 races, Tyler Reddick has an average finish of 8.25. So, yeah, that's really all I need to tell you on that. Austin Dillon is another one that I think is a little bit interesting, but I'm not really going to look to go there. I'd just rather play Reddick. I mean, yeah, he starts 23rd, has more place differential upside, but not a good track for him. 22nd best average finish in New Hampshire, 18th best average position. So, not really looking to go to Austin Dillon here in the spot. Clint Bowyer starts too high for me. That's just pretty much the end of that. I don't have much more to say about Clint Bowyer. Starts 6th. I mean, he's not going to get up and lead laps. He's probably just going to drop back. He has not been running well as of late. Average finish of 12.6 in the last 5 and average position of 13.8. So that's where I expect him to finish around like 12th to 15th spot. And at starting 6th place, you just can't have that unless he's like super, super, super cheap, like 4,000. But 7,200, no. Jon Hunter Nemechek starting 36 at 7,000. I expect to be chalky. They priced him up as starting 36, but like I don't even hate it because he's just been running well. In the last 5 races, Jon Hunter Nemechek has an average finish of 18.75 and an average position of 19.75. So if he can get you like a 15 to 20, he's going to be a good play for you starting 36. I expect him to be very chalky, but I'm probably going to eat that chalk. I think he's a good play. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 6,800 starting 31st. This has not been a good track for Ricky Stenhouse. So you see the 27th best average finish, but God, has this team been trash. I mean, JTG Daughtry Racing has just been bad as of late. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Priest have just been having some bad luck. I mean, Ricky Stenhouse wrecks anyway. Last 5 races, average finish of 22, average position of 19. If I'm playing a lot of tournament lineups, I think he's worth a shot, like a shot in the dark is Stenhouse, but if I'm only playing a few lineups or just one lineup, I'm staying away from Stenhouse. I am not playing him. He scares me so much right now. I mean him and Priest, to be honest, but I'd rather play Priest because he's 5,600. But Stenhouse at 6,800 scares me a lot. Cole Custer at 6,700, starting 14th, is just a little bit too high for me. In the last 5 races, Custer does have somehow an average finish of 7.5. He's been running well. It does take out his DNF he had, but an average position of 14. But I just don't expect Custer to get up there again, and really, I just don't expect him to pay off that salary. I mean, he could, but it's not. It's less likely than someone like Ryan Newman starting 22nd, who has actually been really good here. The 6th best average finish at New Hampshire over the last 2 years, which is shocking. I know it's shocking, but he's been really good. 12th best average position. And I mean, even if that's where he lands, like 12th, he doesn't get 6th. Like, I wouldn't try to expect a 6th place finish from Ryan Newman. But if he gets you like a 12th place finish, that's going to pay off that salary pretty good at 6,600. That's someone I definitely want to go to. Last 5 races has not been running well. An average finish of 19, average position of 20.25. But I do like Ryan Newman at his price tag, starting 22nd at a track he's been decent at in the past. Or more recently, like probably one of his best tracks over the past 2 years, to be honest. Maybe his best outside like Daytona. But yeah, I think Newman's good. Bubba Wallace starts 15th. That's too high for me. I just don't trust that. I mean, the last 5 races, we have Bubba Wallace with an average finish of 21.4. So I think it's okay, but I mean, I just wouldn't want to go there. Michael McDowell. I guess I'm finally off the Michael McDowell train, guys. Been playing him nonstop every single race for like 2 months now, it feels like. But he's up in the top, what's that, 22, 24 in points. I mean, oh my goodness, Michael McDowell's been running absolutely amazing. What a year he's had, but he starts 18th, and I don't think he has much room to move up, so that's going to be a fade for me. Corey LaJoie starting 33rd. I mean, 6,200, it's a little bit more expensive than I'd want to go to, especially when I can just pay for Chris Buescher. But Corey LaJoie in the last 5 races has an average finish of 21.5. So, I mean, he's been running really well. And, I mean, he's a guy that you don't really look at his past races, or past years because the equipment sucked. It still sucks, but it's better than it was. But, yeah, I don't think Corey LaJoie is that bad of a play. I think it'll be interesting to see his ownership versus Chris Buescher's, but I think they're both interesting plays. I mean, Chris Buescher, only the 18th best average finish at New Hampshire, but he's in much better equipment this year. Average finish of 19.5 in the last 5 races. Average position is 16.5. We know Chris Buescher has top 15 upside. I mean, he even has a little bit of top 10 upside. But I think those two are interesting ones to play. I think whichever one comes in higher owned, I'm probably just going to play the other one. But I think they're both decent plays. We don't ever play Daniel Suarez. If you've been watching long enough, you know that. Suarez is trash. Don't play Suarez. Ty Dillon at 5,700 starting 25th. Another guy I'm going to avoid. Starts way too high for me. Ty Dillon has not been that good this year. He does have an average finish of 17th in the last 5 races. He did have one race where he ran really, really well. That boosted that up. But I still don't want to play Ty Dillon. I'm just not really too interested in him. And then Ryan Preece has wrecked in like the last 5 races. He had 4 straight last place finishes, or maybe it was 3 straight, and then last week he didn't get last, but he got like 30th. So, dude wrecks every race. It sucks to watch. I feel bad for him every race. I'm just like, damn. But I'm just not really want to go there. I mean, he does start 30th, 22nd best average finish. I don't even want to look at the last 5 races. Yeah, it's just Preece is gross to me. I mean, if you have to go somewhere that cheap, then Preece is the way to go because you're not playing any of these guys below him. Yeah, take a mental note. Don't play Hill, Yaley, Poole, Gay, Smithley, Halford, Davison. Don't play them. They're trash. Yeah, I think Preece is okay if you need it, but I'd rather just pay up a little bit for like LaJoie or Buescher. But if you need the salary, I think Preece is fine. He does start 30. If he does offer you some place differential upside, and he can get you like a 20th spot, 21st spot, and he'd be a decent play. But yeah, I think that's really all I got on this slate. I hope you guys got some good information out of this. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment, turn on the notification bell. All that stuff really helps me out, helps me grow the channel. Make sure if you want to subscribe to my Patreon, NBA, or NASCAR, I don't care. Both, go for it. All those things just really help me out so much. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend. I hope you guys make some money. Hope someone takes down a tournament, unless it's me. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.